I think before I start, I just need to put something into context. Even though my name's Sue, like Susanna and Trini, I will not be pulling out people to the front and going, you shouldn't be wearing this or anything like that. So you can kind of breathe a collective sigh of relief because I'm not going to be doing that at all. So what's fashion feng shui then? Well, it's a technique used by image professionals all over the world where we really teach our clients to dress according to a nature's master plan, if you like, so that their clothing is really reflective of them. So it's very authentic, but it's also empowering and it's also enhancing. So slightly different to a traditional way of doing this kind of thing. I would really like to say it was my brainchild, but it wasn't. It was a concept of a fabulous, fabulous lady called Ivana Maggiore, who does have books on this subject, by the way. And she was an image consultant, and she also had a chain of clothing boutiques. And she was studying feng shui with Tara Catherine Collins. And it was when they came to the little bit on fabrics that she had a kind of aha moment. And she was being taught that the patterns and the design elements of fabrics, when they changes the fundamental nature and purpose of that fabric as well as their appearance. And she was thinking, well, if this is really, really effective within your home or office environment, then think how effective it could be on the clothes that you wear. So that's where the seed was sown. She did quite a lot of work on this and then realised that she could also use the 5 elements because the substances and colours and form of each of the 5 elements relates and aligns really well to the shape of somebody's body, the colour of somebody's colouring, and also the more hidden aspects of a person's personality and what they want to get out of life. So it kind of looks a little bit like this. This is what we call the transformational triad. What attracted me to it was I'd been qualified for quite a number of years actually here and abroad in the more traditional way of image. And generally speaking, what we find is that we concentrate a lot on the physical appearance. So some of you in the audience may have had your colours done. You may have had some style done, and so you'll be told, you know, this is the right hem length and these are the right colours. And I had that done many times. And actually for me, shopping became a chore instead of a joy. And I looked in my wardrobe every day and thought, those colours suit me, so why don't I feel great about all of these clothes that are there? There's something really missing. So when I came across this, I was jumping for joy because it gave me those extra pieces. So of course, fashion feng shui, of course, looks at flattering the appearance. If you can get the colours and shapes that really harmonise with who you are, then of course your clothes will be flattering. And if your clothes are flattering, then you are dressing your best. And we all know when we look good, we feel good, and then we kind of go into the world with confidence and self-esteem. So we will look at flattering the appearance. But the other 2 areas were things that I hadn't really come across before. And the first of those was really evaluating somebody's essence. And I suppose their essence is what makes you, you. And for me, I had twins, not twins, baby twins, but twins clients who looked the same, and yet they didn't want to dress the same. So I thought that was quite interesting, that they were very different inside. And we all know that our essence or our core values, if they're reflected in our environments, then we become very fulfilled. And so if we can find a way of dressing from the inside out, we have a wardrobe that is also fulfilling. So we look at evaluating somebody's essence. And then the last thing that we do, and we're going to be doing this today, all right, so that's what I'm going to be teaching you and giving you some snippets of today so you can take them home with you, is we are looking at dressing the mind. We are looking at finding or identifying your intention. And your intention is who you are with no limits. So it's your ideal self. Or maybe it's just something that you need for today or for tomorrow or in the short term. And we teach our clients how to dress with purpose so that they can dress for their intention, because we kind of believe that dressing for who you want to be or for what you want to get out of life is actually as important as dressing for who you are. All right, so it's a transformational triad. So a style would be authentic, empowering, and enhancing. And unlike traditional image training, it covers the 3 points with the body, the spirit, and also the mind. Okay, so to make it kind of a little bit more simple for our clients, we use the 5 elements. And what Ivana did was to personify each of those elements into an archetype. So she's taken the substance, the colours, and all of the characteristics of each of those elements to make a person. And each of those people have their own essence, they have their own intention, they have colours, they have body shapes, and they have a preferred way of dressing. And through questionnaires, through coaching, through doing some collages with pictures, and looking at somebody's shape and colouring, they will be able to identify their own essence, their own intention, and we will help them with their appearance through these archetypes. So water then. If we think about water as an element, we know that it's really representative of nighttime. It's representative of the winter time. And already in the presentations previous to mine, we've talked about hibernation. We've talked about going away and being quiet. And that's really what water is represented by. If you think about water, it's never static unless it's frozen. And so if you moved water on a table, it would always flow. And if there's no light, the colour of water tends to be quite deep and quite dark. So when we look at the philosopher, we are looking at somebody with an essence of contemplation. So when we look at the pioneer, we are looking with somebody with an essence of competition. The intention of the pioneer is to do. They need to take action. The colours associated with the pioneer are the colours of spring. They're the colours of the outside, so they're all the greens. And maybe some blues in terms of the aqua blues or the turquoises. Most plant life somewhere has a rectangular or a columnar a kind of shape. So if you think about a tree trunk, it's straight up and down. If you think about the stem of a flower, generally it's straight up and down. So the shape that we associate with the pioneer is that of the rectangle. And because the pioneer is all about getting things done and moving, what they really appreciate is physical movement, being able to move easily. So the kind of clothing that they really appreciate is a sporty or a more athletic type of clothing. So there's no high heels here. Fire is the pleasure seeker. So this is a completely different type of character. If we think about the element fire, it's represented by heat. So the heat of the day, the heat of the year. So we're talking about noontime, we're talking about summertime. It's a hot, hot, hot type of archetype. And so the essence of the pleasure seeker is about excitement and charisma. The intention of the pleasure seeker is passion and excitement. The kind of colours that we associate with the pleasure seeker would be the hottest colours. So we're talking about really bright colours like reds, magentas, fuchsia pinks. But also if we're to look into a flame, there's a lot of purples there as well. So we would also take the purples into account. So purples and violets. The shape associated with the pleasure seeker is the inverted triangle. So generally a body shape would be one like mine that tends to have rather large shoulders and smaller hips. And the kind of clothing that you would associate with the pleasure seeker is the kind of clothing that would be attract attention. So it would be bold, it would be dynamic, it would be dramatic. In women it might be quite body conscious, so it might be showing a bit of skin. Earth. If we think about earth, we think about the late summer. we think about the harvest time. We think about the afternoon, having tea, maybe with a friend. And so Earth is the peacemaker, and the essence of the peacemaker is commitment. And it's very interesting actually that the kind of colours that are associated with this are the kind of camel colours, the browns, the mustards, and what's in the shops at the moment, camels, browns and mustards. And the intention of the peacemaker is to nurture. So maybe this is the yin and yang thing going on. We might need a bit more nurturing, and maybe fashion is reflecting that at the moment. When we think about Earth, we think about the fact that it is very stable, it's very grounded. And so the shape that is associated with the peacemaker is sturdy, it's the square. And the type of dressing that the peacemaker would prefer is traditional. And I think it's number one on the Vogue list this year to get a camel coat. And that's fairly traditional, I would think. And then last but not least, we have metal. Metal is autumn. It's the kind of evening time. It's almost like a completion before we go into the hibernation of winter or the hibernation of sleep. So you need to have finished your tasks, your jobs. It's like a completer finisher. And when we think about metal, we think about expensive things. We think about gemstones. We think about beautiful platinums. And so when we think about the perfectionist, the essence of the perfectionist is culture. The intention of the perfectionist is refinement. And it can be refinement in kind of upscaling, or it can be refinement in just getting organized, as many of us are not. The colours that we associate with the metal, the perfectionist, are all the metallic colours, the pastels and white. The shape that the perfectionist personifies is the hourglass, pretty perfect shape, or a rounded shape. And the kind of dressing that the perfectionist would like to do the most is that of elegance and grace. Make sense so far? Okay.